This is the story of my third airspace infringement and how it concluded. Because I'm very happy to say it now has concluded. Now, straight away, in my opinion, all airspace infringements are the sole responsibility of the pilot in command of the infringing aircraft. Just to give context, my first one was after 7 years of flying or so, and it was a very slight incursion into Solent Class D airspace on a flight from Blackbush down to Lyon Solent. And that was just lack of situational awareness, because I was flying an aircraft I hadn't flown before, which didn't have a wing leveling autopilot, which I'd become used to. So that I just drifted off course slightly without noticing. My second one was a shameful planning failure, situational awareness failure, and even a failure to observe the warnings on SkyDemon that told me I was approaching controlled airspace, and it was London TMA, and that was awful. And as a result of that, I had to do an airspace infringement awareness course, which I did, which was very, very good. And that's relevant because the content that I learnt on that awareness course should have prevented my third one. And my third airspace infringement, which I'll show a clip of now, because I've got a video of me doing it. So there's Lyon Solent down there, if you can see that.
Number 200, boy.
Number 200.
Given your level and range, I'm going to lose you off radio shortly. Do you want to try Goodwood or Farnborough?
Whilst 100% my responsibility, obviously, was as a result. I mean, I'm just always curious as to why. Why did it happen? How did it happen? I infringed Lyon Solent ATZ, and the cause of that infringement was, as you can see from the video, total ignorance of Rule 11, which states that you need to be in contact with an ATZ by radio before entering their ATZ. And the ignorance I'm referring to is the fact that for some reason, and I can't explain why, I was under the impression that that was sort of at the pilot's discretion. And because of the situation on the day when there was hardly anyone else flying because the weather was not good and the cloud seedings were worse than forecast, and I had good visual contact with the airfield and no other aircraft on my conspicuity device, I flew through the top couple of 100 feet of Lyon Solent ATZ without talking to them first, because I was talking to Bournemouth radar at the time. Anyway, that's the background. What I want to tell you today is the story of what happened as a result, because it was an utter fiasco. And although the infringement itself happened in August 2021, the matter was not concluded until October 2022. And that delay was not the fault of the CAA, and not the fault of me either, as you'll see. The first I knew about my third airspace infringement was I got an email from the CAA MOR team. It explained what I had been found doing, and it explained what the requirements were, which were that I was to contact Aviation Southwest at Exeter Airport to arrange for retraining, and they spelled out exactly what the retraining was to comprise of in the email. And I thought, yeah, cool, no problem, fair enough. That's my third offence. I've got to, there's going to be some kind of consequence or repercussion for that. And the retraining involved some ground school and at least 3 hours of dual flight training. So I thought, and as it said in the email, they were happy for me to use my own aircraft for the training to help keep costs down, which I thought was really reasonable of them, actually. Little did I know that was what was going to lead to immense complications. So there it was September. My aircraft annual was due, so I could fly it until the 30th of November. So I had 6 or 8 weeks. I thought, that's no problem, I can get 3 hours flight training done at that time. And so the next step was to contact Aviation Southwest to book it in, which would be really simple. Or so I thought. It was just the beginning of a total debacle. Anne-Marie says I look like a pilot from the 70s in this outfit, but I am a pilot from the 70s, aren't I? I was born in the 70s, wasn't I? Mm-hmm. So I rang Aviation Southwest and tried to book an appointment for the ground school to start with. And I couldn't understand why, but I ended up putting the phone down without an appointment booked. I thought, that's strange. I just sort of was weirdly fobbed off. They kind of acknowledged that they had an email from the CAA and that they were expecting me, and they said they'd call me back. They never did. So I rang them back again. Same thing happened. Yeah, we just need to can I give you a call back? I'm just going to talk to so-and-so and give you a call back. Okay. Same thing happened again. So then I tried to email. I emailed them and said, hi, I just wonder if I can get even a provisional date in, like whatever paperwork you say you need, that's fine, but could we get something booked in the diary so that we've got something booked in the diary? No, we don't really want to book anything yet until the paperwork's sorted. I said, well, what paperwork do you need? And I didn't really get a reply. And this went round and round like this for a few weeks. Until finally, I sort of almost forcibly turned up. They were expecting me, but I said, I'm going to come down and see if we can get something booked in and just meet you and work out what we need to do and what paperwork you need and everything like that, because I wasn't getting anywhere on the phone or by email. And in fact, I did a vlog of turning up to meet an instructor that day, and I just remember being treated so strangely. Here we go. The young instructor I dealt with was fine. There was nothing wrong with him at all. But the organisation itself and the owner of Aviation Southwest, I remember one specific moment. He walked into the room and he spoke to his colleagues about me as if I wasn't standing right in front of him. He literally spoke as though I wasn't there. He totally blanked me. Didn't look at me, didn't address me, nothing. I thought, that's very, very strange. Like, hey guys, I don't particularly want to be here. I've been told to be here, and I'm assuming that you've accepted me being sent to you for retraining. And I wasn't getting anywhere. And so eventually I managed to get a list of the paperwork that they wanted, which was something to do with the fact that my aircraft is NREG. And so I went back to the CAA and I said, I've been unable to book anything because they want that paperwork and they want authorisation from you, which I thought they'd already had because they'd already said in the email. The CAA had said in the email that they were happy for me to do my retraining in my own aircraft. Nevertheless, more paperwork was required before they would be willing to accept my training. Now, that process of applying for the paperwork through the CAA took the typical time frame, but I just added a few more weeks to it. And so the weeks clicked past, and before I knew it, it was the end of November and the plane was out of annual. And I'd been given a deadline of completing the training, and I had to ask for an extension because of this, because I had literally been unable to get the training booked in. Sometime later, significantly into the following year, when nothing had happened for weeks, either with getting my paperwork necessary from the CAA or getting any time booked in, two things happened on the same day. On the same day, I finally got the email from the CAA confirming that the paperwork had been authorised and granted, and I'd had to spend the money to pay for the processing fee, which is fine. Got no problem with that. 80 odd quid or something, 85 quid, I can't remember. But I had to pay for this. And the day they granted me the training permit, I got the following email. And as you can see, for no clear reason, after all of these months of jumping through hoops themselves, as well as making me and the CAA jump through hoops, they just decided, actually, do you know what? We're not going to train Charlie. The CAA were very good about it. I got a phone call from the CAA who told me that this was not my fault. And without saying so much in as many words, they communicated to me that it was because of this YouTube channel and because of my YouTube videos that they didn't want to be involved in my retraining. So months and some money wasted just for them to then withdraw the offer of training. The CAA also let me know that because of my YouTube channel, there were a few other training organisations who had declined the opportunity to do my retraining. And they said that the ball was in their court whilst they located somebody who was happy to do my retraining. And the months clicked past again, and if you remember, I then had a problem. So my aircraft came out of annual in February, I was flying it in March, and then in June, because we were now in June, I had to pull 2 cylinders off the plane. So the plane was then grounded for 3 months from June till September. So we've now gone over a year past the initial infringement date. And then finally, they located a very, very senior flight examiner, sort of top of the tree as far as instructors go, who I felt very privileged actually and fortunate to be trained by this guy. And eventually we managed to do the retraining, which was quite intense actually. We did everything that was required, and it was quite challenging, but it was also good fun. I did 3 one-hour flights. We flew from Compton Abbas up to Shopton, from Shopton back to Compton Abbas, all dead reckoning this flying was, and then did a local flight from Compton Abbas down towards Leon Solent and back. And I was then in the waiting room to find out whether or not my performance was acceptable, and eventually I got an email from CA confirming that I had completed the retraining to the satisfaction of the examiner, and there was no further action to be taken. And so finally, I really enjoyed that 3 hours of training. I thought, if you've got to pay for training, you may as well make the most of it and actually get the benefit of having a really experienced instructor with you, which I did. He was fantastic. He was very professional, very thorough, but very friendly, very kind. And that is the end of that story. So there you go, guys. That's what happens. That's what happened in my case after 3 airspace infringements. So I hope that's useful, and I'm now pretty certain that I have had enough experience to never do another airspace infringement again. I think I'd sooner declare an emergency than risk infringing airspace again, but I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one. Bye bye.